Hi everyone and welcome to my creative corner. My name is Joanna and today I will show you how to create this witchy background effect. The technique you're about to learn is super quick and super easy that anyone can do it. I actually created this background during one evening coloring session. So the footage was taken under slightly yellowish artificial light. The colors might look a little bit off, but you will see the magic happening anyway. Well, the only medium that you need for this effect is one of my absolute favorite coloring supplies, which are gel crayons. They are sometimes called silky crayons, and Faber-Castell calls their version Gelatos, along with my other favorites, which are Crayola wax crayons. They are absolute underdogs in the coloring world, and I am more than happy and super excited to give them the spotlight today that they deserve. So, without further ado, let's dive in. Let's start by selecting the right colors. My main goal for the background is to keep that witchy vibe of the page, while making those warm charming shades of burnt rosewood, chili crush, and that bewitching amber zest glow even more. To do that, I'm reaching for the complementary colors listed at the bottom of my palette card: dusted teal and medium turquoise. Gel crayons are super easy to mix. I'm using different shades of dark green, blue, and grey to achieve the color I want. The waxy texture of gel crayons is naturally soft, and it becomes even softer as I scribble the crayon on the plate. I also swatch a touch of pale cyan to test how it blends in. And if you're new to my channel and you are wondering where I got this mischievous color palette book, well, I actually created it myself. You can find this book on Amazon or learn more about my Autumn Trilogy palette books over on Gumroad. I will leave all the links for you in the description below. I'm starting by filling in all those tiny areas around the Lady Witch. To transfer the pigment, I'm using a makeup brush, probably meant for eyeshadows, though I'm not completely sure. Either way, it's dense and firm enough to handle its new coloring mission on this page perfectly. Once I'm done with the precision work, I switch to craft finger sponges. You can easily find them on Amazon or in most craft stores. If you don't have this, don't worry. You can use plenty of alternatives like makeup blenders or makeup sponges that you might already have at home. I'm using this super dark charcoal ink shade to create a kind of vignette effect around the page. I have to admit though, I'm still not entirely sure what I want to appear behind my witch. I'm debating between a dark forest, falling leaves, or swirling wisps that would echo the pattern that you can already see around the glowing orb. I'm having my last thoughts about the pattern while smoothing out the pigment I transferred earlier with the makeup brush. The texture turned out a bit too patchy compared to the rest of the background, so I'm gently evening it out to keep the surface consistent and soft. And again, if you don't have a blender like this, try some alternatives before purchasing anything new. You might already have a useful tool at home like a makeup sponges or blending stumps, or you can even use a waxy colored pencil in a similar shade to smooth out the surface. Lastly, I'm adding the lightest shade to the mix to create even more depth and subtle variation in the background. Now, the key part. Gel crayons are water-soluble, which means their pigment gets activated by water. Unlike Neocolor 2 crayons, the colors don't intensify much, but they do become movable. You can easily lift or adjust the pigment using a wet or damp tool like a brush or sponge. First, I'm trying to create these swirling wisp patterns using a damp paintbrush, but the tip feels a bit too soft, so I have to press harder to get the shapes I have in mind. Overall, it feels a little clumsy, and I'm not happy with how the pattern is turning out. After a few more tries, I decided to switch to a clean finger sponge and the same stencil I used earlier to create the glowing pattern around the orb. I soak the sponge in water and make sure it's damp and not dripping before going back to the page. As I work, I apply different levels of pressure so the pattern shows up in varied shades of lightness. I also make sure the stencil is dry and clean each time before using it again. How easy and mesmerizing is this technique? You have to admit, it definitely deserves a like and subscribe, doesn't it? And who knows, maybe even I just earned myself my first virtual coffee? Then I'm transferring the pigment through the stencil once again. The step is totally optional. I just wanted to see how these swirls would overlap each other and whether I could create even more visual interest in the background. And lastly, I'm adding a few more shades and highlights using colored pencils. You can totally skip this step, or you can go all out and get creative with glitter accents, gel pens, stickles, or any other goodies from your coloring stash. The sky is the limit here, so let your imagination take over. Good luck!